While I'm a student at Creighton University, I'm also a member of the Division I rowing team. For those of you who don't know much about rowing, it's a sport of hard work, strength, teamwork, and most importantly, grace. When a solid crew is out in the water, each rower is following the person in front of them in perfect synchronization. The blades are sweeping through the water, and the boat has a good glide to it. Although it might not feel like that for the rower in the boat during a race, as each race is about an all-out sprint for 8 minutes, it should at least look easy. Well, that's the goal. There was one day when my friend Lauren, we also call her Rock on the team, and we took out a boat made just for two, and it was the opposite of grace. Rock and I decided to go out one afternoon to the lake after our coach announced that a new challenge called Row Across America, where he split the team up into two groups, each group having to row the same amount of miles as it takes to row across the United States. We had to complete this by the fall, so our team wanted to get a few people out in the water each day. Rock and I were the only people who were able to go out that day. So even though we weren't a good match, as she's about 6 feet and I'm about 5'4", we still decided to try it out and make it work. Once we got out on the water, we couldn't keep our blades in the water at the same time, and the boat was rocking back and forth because of that. We were worried that we were going to fall in, so we decided to take it slow. However, after rowing cautiously for a few minutes, we took a wrong stroke, and the boat flipped, dumping us into the gross green water of Carter Lake.
Ew.
We got stuck in the bottom on the seaweed that was growing out of control, and we knew that the boat was probably stuck too. We freed ourselves and then the boat, and then discovered that the boat was quickly filling up with water. As it was the middle of the day on a weekday, we knew that no one would be there to help us, and we also didn't have phones, so we couldn't call anyone. So we knew we had to get the boat back to the dock by ourselves. While the process of flipping a boat right side up is difficult in itself, the process of getting both of us on the boat is even more complicated. When one person would make it up, the other person would try, and the boat would turn over, causing us to be right back in the same place that we started. So after a few failed attempts, we decided to switch up how we were going to do it. Both of us had to approach the boat from the opposite side, making the same movements, mirroring each other so that the boat would stay in balance and we could get back up. After a few failed attempts, we made it on, but we saw that since the boat was filled with so much water, it would be a difficult and long row back to the dock. After an extra 20 minutes of rowing than normal, we made it back to the dock, but discovered that the boat was too heavy from all the water and we couldn't pick it up out of the lake. So we tried for a few minutes, but it didn't work. We weren't strong enough to lift it even a centimeter. So we tried tipping it to the one side, but as soon as we did that, more water would fill the boat and we'd be in a worse position than before. So as Rock held the boat, I ran to the car to grab my phone to send a text message to the team asking for anyone who's available to come help us lift the boat. We waited for about 30 minutes, and finally a few people came. It took 8 of us to lift a boat meant just for 2 rowers. When we lifted it up and over heads, a ton of water spilled out, causing us to be even wetter than we were before, as if we weren't already gross enough. So we made it back to the boathouse, and I had to walk across campus soaking wet. Each step I took, a squeaking noise would make, my shoes would make a squeaking noise, and people were starting to stare at me. It's not every day that you see a soaking wet girl walk down the mall. That day we learned that maybe there's certain people that just shouldn't row together.